Thank you all for coming. I'm Peggy Stelmach, President of the Board of the Poverello Center, Incorporated.
Good evening, and welcome, and thank you very much for coming this evening. My name is Joe Bischoff. I'm the Executive Director of the Poverello Center. And on behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of the Poverello Center, thank you very much for being here. I think you all agree it's been a pretty fun evening so far, and the best is yet to come. I'm sure many of you read in the Missoulian today about an unfortunate incident that occurred yesterday, and so we will be slightly changing our program tonight by removing one of the stories which we had found out was not totally factual. But in recognition of the work, though, that Robert Graham did in regards to working with the members, we will still be keeping his chair here in honor of the work that he committed to doing here for this performance. But all of this brings to mind a couple of the major questions that philosophers have debated for centuries. What is reality, and what is truth? Reality and truth exist in each person's perception of events and comes to them through whatever lens they use to take a look at those events in their lives. And in Robert's case, he evidently perceived that the divorce from his wife and his child was similar in ways to death. And that's how he rationalized it in his mind. There's probably no story, though, that's more appropriate when you're discussing reality and truth than the story of Don Quixote de la Mancha, written by Miguel de Cervantes. And I'm sure many of us here have read that or seen the plays or the movies. And in Don Quixote's eyes, he saw Aldonza the kitchen servant as the Lady Dulcinea. He saw a shaving basin as the golden helmet of Mambrino. And of course, the windmills, which were the monsters. All of this was quite fanciful at the time. But in actuality, when you reread the book and you take a look at it, there's actually a very true telling of events that were occurring and the social circumstances that were occurring in that age. Everyone here tonight, I really see a collection of Don Quixotes in your own ways, because you are not satisfied with the way things are. You all share a vision in what could be and what should be in our society and the way we should treat our fellow human being. We should all seek to have a little bit of that knight errant in all the things we do, and maybe even follow some of the words that he followed. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. And that's something all of us should be doing all the time, is reaching for that unreachable star and helping our fellow citizens reach for their own star. Thanks to all of you for your efforts to have the Poverello still being here for 30 years, being able to assist the citizens here in Missoula. And as I always try to tell everybody and help them to understand, is the Poverello is owned by the community. It's owned by you. Most of our funding comes from folks like you. It's not from federal grants and all kinds of grandiose giving programs. It's mostly all provided by individuals here. So you all share, and you all have a piece of the Poverello Center. But I do have one very special announcement to make tonight. Senator Baucus's office notified us this evening that we've received the Assets for Independence grant, which is a funding source which will afford the opportunity for matching dollars for individuals living at the Joseph residence on a dollar-for-dollar basis to help them put together savings to buy a home. We expect that over the 5 years of this grant, we will be able to help up to 50 families achieve the opportunity of home ownership here in this community. So it's a wonderful opportunity for low-income families. But I have to say that a lot of what's been accomplished at the Poverello Center during my 2 years here would not have been possible without the tremendous work and effort of my Director of Development, Julie Emnett, who wrote most of this grant here. We make a pretty good team, and she does a phenomenal job in regards to helping us find new ways to be able to help people here in our community. One final thought. I'd like everyone to please remember the words of the Epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Hebrews, chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. Let brotherly love continue. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Thank you very much, and I know you're going to have a wonderful time tonight at this production.
Now this is the easiest part of the night for me. I don't have to remember hardly anything. So without further ado, two people, again the standard, who need no introduction. Your drive time DJs from KYSS, Craig and Al.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. It's odd for us to be looking at people. Luckily, these lights are pretty bright, so you're just kind of a lovely blur out there. But it is also odd for us to be working with scripts. Anybody that has ever listened to us on the radio knows that's not a common thing for us. But it is a great honor for us to be asked to MC this evening's event. 30 years of the Poverello Center. Hunger and homelessness has been an issue for all those years, will continue to be an issue for as far out as any of us can predict. I thought I had a pretty good idea of what the Poverello Center was all about. My son, when he's 16 now, but when he was a Boy Scout, we went down and volunteered at the Pov with a bunch of the kids one day, and they helped prepare the meal and helped serve the meal. The Joseph Center, the Joseph residence, we were involved, it was not our campaign, we were involved with a campaign called Sock It to Christmas, where the simple act of gathering new socks for people that didn't have socks, and we delivered them to a number of agencies around town, including the Joseph residence. But I really don't think it was until today, when we were working through the dress rehearsal for this performance that you're about to see, that I really got a sense as to what the Poverello Center and the Joseph residence means to this community. We oftentimes will see the results of homelessness on the streets, but until you hear it in the words that you'll hear from the actors that were written by the folks involved, it hits home. And I suspect that it will have the same impact on you. I certainly hope it will. We have some proclamations from some folks that could not make it but wanted to send their congratulations to the Poverello Center for 30 years. Joe already mentioned Max Blockus. Dear friends, thanks for the invitation to join you. I wish I could be with you in person to celebrate the Poverello Center's 30th anniversary. The Pov's work in the Missoula community deserves much celebration today and every day. Congratulations on all that you've done to make the Poverello Center a keystone in our community. From Max Blockus, United States Senator.
Also from Senator Conrad Burns, 30 years of providing a safety net to those less fortunate in Missoula is quite an accomplishment. Missoula is known for its volunteerism and its willingness to lend a hand to those in need. You and your predecessors should be commended for recognizing a need and developing an organization to address that need while maintaining the flexibility to modify your mission and extend services to homeless families through the Joseph residence. Sincerely, Conrad Burns.
From the Office of the Governor, Judy Martz, I offer my congratulations on the Poverello Center's 30th anniversary celebration. While I am unable to personally attend your celebration, I did not want to miss the opportunity to extend my heartfelt appreciation for the caring work done through the center. The Governor goes on to say this center exists because it provides a service that is truly valued by your community and by our state. It also exists because of the support of many generous, caring individuals. I want to recognize and thank those individuals for their ongoing support of the Poverello Center's mission.
Proclamation from the City of Missoula, whereas since 1974, the Poverello Center has been providing food, shelter, help, and hope to countless homeless and low-income men, women, and children year-round, and whereas the Poverello Center is marking the 30th anniversary in October 2004, and whereas the community has long supported the Poverello Center's efforts to provide the essentials of life to homeless and low-income individuals and families in western Montana, and whereas increased demand continues to indicate an extreme need for services for low-income and homeless people in this community. Now, therefore, I, Mike Cadis, Mayor of the City of Missoula and the State of Montana, do proclaim the month of October 2004 as Poverello Month in the City of Missoula. I encourage all Missoula residents to support and commend the Poverello Center. All of us would be the first to admit that numbers really don't indicate the full measure of benefit that Poverello Center accomplishes within this community, but they do give us some sense of scale. And think of these numbers real briefly. Over the past 30 years, 1.6 million meals have been served, 280,000 nights of shelter. This year alone, from the first of the year to August, 66,000 meals and 9,700 nights of shelter for the homeless.
There are a lot of people that have shown up here tonight that have played an active role in the 30-year history of the Poverello Center. Not going to take a lot of time. We do want to recognize some folks, though. Would current Poverello Center board members please stand and remain standing? They're all working, huh? Oh, they are. Okay, there's some in the back there. All right.
How about past board members?
Okay, and also any current staff in the audience, please stand.
And any past staff members, would you please stand?
And also anybody who has ever volunteered for the Poverello Center, please stand up. You are the folks that make this community such an incredibly wonderful place to live. I heard Missoula described recently as the largest umbilical cord in the United States of America. You can leave, but somebody eventually gives it a yank and you'll be right back again. So we do appreciate that.
Just a quick reminder for you, you have your programs with you tonight. Make sure that you look at the names of the people who have sponsored the event for this evening and the businesses and think of them the next time.
Also, the details of this evening's theater event are in your program, so you can see that. So let's get to what we're all here for. It's going to be a wonderful piece of theater. Like I said, we sat through the dress rehearsal today, and I was real close to being moved to tears, and if I weren't so macho, I definitely would have been moved to tears. It's called It Could Be Me, Stories from the POV. These stories are the stories of actual individuals who are or have been homeless and have stayed at the Poverello Center or the Joseph Residence. They have been working with the Missoula Writing Collaborative. We thank them very much to write their stories of tragedy, loss, and I think most importantly, redemption. One quick program note, Bill Buseman will be in the role of XL during the performance. Through their stories, we hope to illuminate the circumstances of life that bring people to the Poverello Center. We know that you're going to find these stories very compelling and worthy of your applause, but we would ask that you please hold your applause until the very end. Thank you, and now, please enjoy the performance.
Poverello Center. At the POV, every day is an opportunity for our community to live God's love. And I mean really live it. smile, and a bar of soap. And other times, the needs can be overwhelming. When I feel that way, I remind myself, this man is someone's son. This woman, somebody's mother. This person could be my brother. This person could be me. You see, people from all walks of life come to the pub. Some are just trying to get by from one paycheck to the next, and others through unexpected and tragic circumstances. Just the other day, I was talking to Tony. Tony told me his story. He said,
I'm going to cut it all short and get right to the point. I was a member of a motorcycle group. The charter was Hell's Angels, the bylaws were Hell's Angels, and the colors were red and white. We got to wear the red and white. In a cold joint, what you'd call a minimum security prison near Portland, Oregon, I met a girl while I was talking on the phone to a friend of mine. He was telling me he was going to go out and meet a guy who owed him some money. She was with me the next morning when I called him back. My friend's wife told me that he'd gone out to collect his money, and when he pulled up to the curb, the guy who owed him came running out with a shotgun and blew him away. This man had met my brother. That was a big loss for me. Over the next 4 or 5 months, when I walked the yard with that woman, I fell in love. For the first time in my life, I knew what love was. We agreed we'd work to get my parole to Bellevue, Washington, to be with her and her folks. You see, I'm a tattoo artist. I do all the clubs. I've got national awards. I don't go looking for customers. They come find me. So we agreed I'd open a tattoo shop in Bellevue. Her parents accepted me, and the parole board granted my parole. I talked to her on the phone the night before my release. And the next morning, I went to the parole office, and I got my bus ticket to Bellevue. Well, on my way to the Greyhound station, I ran into my friend Woody. Woody wanted to get high with me. Well, I was telling him about my plans for Bellevue and who my girl was. And Woody just looked at me real funny. All he said was, "She's no longer there." Well, I believed Woody. He'd been my friend for years. But when I asked him where she was, he wouldn't tell me. Finally, he took me to his house, and his woman, Carol, led me to a table and pointed to the morning paper. I didn't have to open it. My girlfriend I owned was on the front page. You see, she had decided to hitchhike to meet me. And the first guy who picked her up, chopped her up. They found her under a bridge. I just couldn't read anymore. You see, this was at the time of the Green River Killer. He was going out and picking up girls and killing them. And I felt responsible for her death. I mean, the woman I loved was hitchhiking to meet me. And the guilt really brought me down. Heroin, tranquilizers didn't help. I started doing meth. And then I really spun out. I couldn't do tattoos. I couldn't work. I was too busy tweaking and geeking and gacking. I couldn't even think about Ione. That went on for 8 years. Well, there was more drugs. There was time in and out of jail. I got infected with TB. But I refused to take the medicine. Hell, I didn't give a shit. I wanted to die. I escaped. Got caught here in Missoula. Spent another year in jail with no meth. And plenty of time to think. That meth, though, the TB that was supposed to kill me, think the meth killed it. X-ray showed it was gone. After a while, I realized that my girlfriend's death wasn't my fault. I didn't put her in that car. Even after I realized that, there was more drugs. I mean, I was addicted. I spent more time in and out of jail. Finally, the guys from my club helped me quit. Ever since then, for the last couple of years, I've been helping homeless women and children off the street. I earn money for that with my tattoo skills.
Joe is one of thousands of homeless brothers. Came home from Vietnam, face uncertainty. Knows not where he's going or what to do. So he travels this country, doing what he knows best, surviving, living off the land, doing things he never thought he'd do. He works odd jobs to buy himself coffee, smokes, food. Other vets help with clothes, sometimes shelter and food, buy him a tent, sleeping bag, the all-important backpack. Occasionally, give him some cash. Some nights he misses his buddies, men he served with, fought alongside. Often he turns to drugs to ease the pain, forget the hurt. Stone crawled into another world to hide. He has seen a lot. Tasted the finer things of life, but he knows that's impossible. So he walks his miles, sets up his camps, prays to a God of love and hope that he will live another day, another year. Often he thinks of his friends, those friends who were or are POWs, and knows that he too is a POW, prisoner of the world. He sees himself as a lost soldier. Society sees a lost cause. But, he's chosen to be forgotten. He smokes his weed, begs and makes up lies for food, prays to God he'd be allowed to live another day. His only true friends, his fellow vets. Those vets help in small but truly caring ways and never ask for anything in return. Never need to leave another vet behind, especially a homeless vet. I came back from Vietnam. I came back from Vietnam confused. Went through 2 disasters married. I've been on the road for 25 years. I fly or wear the POW MIA flag for many reasons. The most important one is not only to remind me of the one still left in a country called Vietnam, but to recall those many vets wandering homeless and hopeless in a country called the United States of America.
I'm Jane. I traveled the rodeo circuit for many years. And my man, he died in my arms. And the damn bull that killed him is still traveling the rodeo circuit and still killing good men. And it kind of pisses me off. I came here from Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I was staying in a rescue mission there. I'd been to Missoula, Montana before. And I really liked it here. So I thought I'd come back and start my life over again. Well, I got a ride here with a guy I knew. And I thought he was okay. Woke up in Lewiston, Idaho, and he was gone. Disappeared with all my stuff. Well, when the cops caught up with him later, they said he burned my stuff. Well, I hooked up with a social worker in Lewiston, and she got me a ticket to Missoula. When I got here, I was really hungry. I hadn't eaten for days. So I went downtown, and I went in this restaurant, and I told them everything that had happened to me. And the waitress, she gave me a free meal. She was so sweet. And here I am now, at the POV, and I got my clothes back up, and I've met somebody.
My name is Charles. I was about 3 when my dad left us. Mother and too many kids alone. Mom had to take care of us kids alone. I was in the middle, neither the youngest nor the oldest. So soon she told me I had to raise myself. I did with her help. As I grew older, I got into trouble. A lot. Guess I needed a dad. Mom was on welfare and I kept getting in trouble. Welfare took me from my home and labeled me rebellious. They sent me to a boys' ranch. That ranch did not give me the right upbringing, if you know what I mean. But I didn't play their game, so they sent me to a tougher place, an institution for kids. But you know, that place didn't give me the right upbringing either. So tell me, what good did that do? But this time, I played their game, and I got out. I went back home. Mom had gotten remarried. My new stepdad, not a nice guy. Treated me like I was trouble. No good. Not his son. So I got in trouble again. When the cops finally took me home, that new stepdad kicked my ass. And then kicked me out of his house, is how he put it. So, on the road I went, 17, the 70s, lost and confused, nowhere to go. So I chose California. Believe me, I was scared as hell. But I went place to place, town to town, looking for a home, sometimes a place to eat, oftentimes just a place to sleep. You know, I've seen a lot of things I can tell you about, but I bet you've seen them all. Life went on that way for about 25 years. Wow. I'm 46 now.
My name's Jared. I was thumbing my way out of Evanston, Wyoming when some new friends picked me up. We decided we were going to a Bonnaroo concert. It was May or June, 4 people, some dogs, 79 Sportsman's van with an extended roof so we could stand up. Man, it was Destination Tennessee. No air conditioning, stinky dogs. Slept in the van mostly. Flew signs for money, please help, need repairs. Got to a small town, raised $200 in an afternoon. Might have been okay, but we didn't have no tags on the van. Cops actually escorted us out of town. Marley was a tall guy. AJ, short, bulky, bright red hair. Aurora was petite, pretty. Long blonde hair, light complexion. Very pretty. But it was hot. We all wanted to get to Manchester, Tennessee. Wanted to take a shower. I was okay with it all, hoping it would work, hoping I'd get my life back together, hoping it would be fun. We did get to Manchester, but by now the band did need repairs, and Bonnaroo is 74 bands, 40,000 people. We couldn't find a place to park. They drove to a Walmart, and I just thumbed a ride to God knows where, and ended up at the pub.
My story may seem like a small story to you among all the others tonight, but it's not small to me. I came to Missoula from Spokane, Washington, February 8th. The Poverello Center has been a blessing to me. They gave me lodging until I could get my own apartment. They gave me bedding, clothing, and healthy, nutritious meals. They gave me medical assistance and dental assistance. They've been great. It's been a place of refuge for me. Above all, they introduced me to a caseworker who has been very helpful. He got my Social Security straightened out, got my mail transferred, got me on meds. He's been very persistent in going to all meetings with me, probably to make sure that I went. He's helped me with transportation problems, has been a great support system. The Poverello Center and their staff are unbelievable. They're letting me volunteer in the clothing room, trusting me to help. It means so much to me. I can't thank them enough for all the blessings that I've received.
I had a good time helping Mike out in the kitchen. I have an appointment with Tricia over at Salvation Army this afternoon. She's going to try and help me get my son back. She says maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe it's out of the question. But I can't wait that long. He's only 16 years old. Let's go back to how I got here anyway. My husband moved me and the 4 kids motel room to motel room from Portland, Oregon to Missoula. I was applying for welfare, getting some cash, food stamps, medical, and my husband got a job. Now, with welfare, if anyone in the family is bringing in income, you have to report it. So I went and I got all the paperwork and I took it home and I got the shit beat out of me and the paperwork torn up. So I waited about 10 days and then I went to his boss and I gave him the paperwork and said, "Now, I'll come back tomorrow and get these papers." Well, his boss gave the papers to my husband and he tore them up. So I gave up. 10 months later, my husband is laid off. I begged him not to file for unemployment, but he went out and got drunk and did. So now there was an investigation. We moved to Billings while the investigation was going on in Missoula. And once we were there, it was the same thing. More abuse of me, more drinking, more violence. And then I found out that he was raping my eldest daughter while I was working 2 jobs at night. He's a #1 asshole. When we left him in Billings, he threw a knife at my son, and it missed him by this much. Now, he says if charges are filed, he won't miss next time. And then it'll be the other kids, and then he'll kill me. And the asshole? He'll probably get away free and clear.
You can call me Dave. I drove truck for old Lem Clement out of Missouri. We hauled a lot of livestock. I drove my own Peterbilt. Bought her myself. She was a beauty. Got her quick as I got out of prison. I was hauling a trailer brim full of cows. That night I misjudged the train. They sent me to prison when I was 17. Gave me 22 years on drug charges. But I hid a pile of money before I went in. Quick as I got out, I bought that Peterbilt. New, blue, lots of chrome. Spring of 1980, I was hauling those cows down a lonely stretch of Colorado highway. I used a wee bit of speed back then to help me stay on the road longer, and my cab always held enough liquor for, warmth and comfort. It was a downhill run to that railway crossing. I just couldn't see waiting on that damn train. At the bottom of the hill, there was a curve. And what I didn't know was that there was 2 cars sitting there waiting on that train. I missed both of them cars. That was some fancy driving. But I didn't miss that train. They tell me there was dead cows spread for 300 feet up that railroad track. Killed me too, more or less. I was knocked cold, presumed dead. Ambulance never hit the siren. No reason to hurry. They took me to the hospital morgue. It was a girl came to get some papers out of my pocket. Noticed I was breathing. I guess they all got busy then. I didn't wake up for 2 more months. When I did, my driving days were over. The law won't allow me to license a bicycle. I've been walking the road ever since. When I started out, I didn't know anything. I met this black boy in Indianapolis at the Salvation Army, first time I'd been to the missions. He convinced me that I ought to sign up for Social Security. Well, I did to humor him. I didn't think very much about it. On the way back to the Salvation Army, he stopped to use the bathroom. Told me to wait for him. Hell, I flagged out my thumb and wound up in Texas. 11 months later, I was working the Salvation Army in Houston, and this girl walked up to me. "Mr. Jones?" "Yeah?" "Here." She handed me an envelope, and inside was a Social Security check for over $8,000. Sweetheart! She took me to her bank and helped me cash that check. But she wouldn't go out with me. After that, I rode the bus. Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, Miami to Seattle. I've seen some country. Found my parents' graves in Broken, Oklahoma. One day in Florida, I took a car out for a trial drive. Tried her for 3 months. Sweet little car. Bit of a flutter in the carburetor. After that, I spent some time in the Florida penitentiary. I enjoy the road. I'm a natural traveler. But you know, it might be time for me to settle down. I rode the train from Boonville, Indiana to Missoula. First time I ever stopped off in Missoula. I aim to take the next bus up to Libby, Montana. Old boy in Louisiana told me about Libby. I'd like to buy a little house there. Time I had a home.
Here is where I find myself. Alone, beaten down, desperate. Up until this last Monday, I've always worked and I've made my way through life, for better or worse, on my own. My father killed himself when I was 8 years old, and I've been more or less self-sufficient ever since. Now, ever since I began using certain drugs, my life has spiraled out of control. And it's done that so fast that I find myself now in a strange city and even in a state in many ways and many miles from where I call home. All I want to do is make it back and start over. This new turn of events began very surreally. Waiting at the Greyhound Depot on Monday night, it was my honor to begin a friendship with a person I'll call my huckleberry. And then with two of the most brutally enlightened children, who were 14 and 16, that I've ever encountered. Huckleberry and I walked around downtown in the middle of the night, searching for cigarettes and looking for beer. Along the way, we get to know a little bit about each other. And a friendship is formed. Upon returning to the Hounds Depot, the kids get to talking with us, and before long we're out behind the building smoking weed and about movies, about life, and about all manner of nonsense. Suddenly, a man called Mike appears and helps himself into our conversation. After Mike leaves, Huckleberry says how tragic it is that Mike is haunting the depot at night, that he has no money, no prospects, and no future. Now, in that instant, I realized something painfully true for me, that Mike's fate is one of my possible futures. Now, once Huckleberry and those two very wise young lads had left and had gotten on to their buses and back to their lives, I was a lot like that gray ghost, Mike, sitting around the depot at 3 a.m., 2,000 miles from New Orleans, coming down from a chemical high that I've not felt in a long, long time. Then I discovered that my luggage had been lost. The weight of the world was coming down upon me. I had become unglued, depressed. Suicide was my only comforting thought, but before I acted on that, I called 911 just to come and get me so that I could be helped. So here I am at the Poverello, just trying to grasp straws, to figure out my next move and get home before I truly do become a gray ghost.
I was married at 19. We were living in southern Utah managing a campground. We just bought our first mobile home when my dad called to offer us a job working for him. So we decided to move back to beautiful Missoula to be with family. We moved when our daughter was just 6 weeks old, along with our 3-year-old son. But the job fell through, and we were living with my alcoholic father, all of us, in a 3-bedroom trailer. After about a month, we realized that not only was there no job, but living with my dad wasn't working out. He was violent and abusive, and he didn't like my son. He criticized everything I did. My cooking, my parenting, my marriage. The stress was amazing. My husband became depressed and suicidal. We had no money and no savings, just a truck. We got food stamps and Medicaid, but we didn't have jobs. It's really hard to get a job when you don't have a phone. I couldn't give him my dad's phone number because he'd answer and get abusive. An old high school friend referred us to Head Start, which referred us to the Poverello Center. Within 1 week, we were up at the Joseph residence. That gave us a safe, stable place. There was still plenty of tension, but no yelling, drunkenness, and fighting. Now that we were at the Joseph residence, we were officially homeless and eligible for all sorts of services. My husband was diagnosed bipolar. That explained his depression and probably why he couldn't hold down a job. Once we got that under control, he found a job cooking, and we started thinking about getting back out on our own again. Soon we were both working full-time, with one child at Head Start and the baby safe at the Joseph daycare. Head Start helped me get financial aid, and I went on to college, graduating with degrees in psychology and social work. When my kids are through middle school, I plan to go on for my master's and probably my doctorate. My husband settled into a job driving a truck, and I'm working full-time in my field. We are self-motivated people, but we could not have made it without help from the Joseph residents and Head Start. We learned from this experience that even when we had nothing else, we still loved each other, and we're stronger now because of it.
Hey boss, my name is XL. I got my name from the label on a t-shirt. Boss, I feel like a cowboy without a horse. I want my damn truck back so I can fly again. Feel the cold, invigorating ocean. Missoula Truck Sales has some rigs with sleeper units on it. There's Fords, Volvos, and my favorite, Freightliners. Boss, you know I love the endless highway. The peace I feel when I hear the hum of a diesel. I feel like a knight on an armored horse. Doing battle with time, juggling logbooks. Very unimpressed DOT men at the way station. But I hate this inactivity. Driving is my reason for being. It's my God I worship, late at night, on the road, when I should be sleeping. I've delivered 1,000 trucks. Boss, there's 1,001.
As a staff member, at the end of the day, I ask myself, did we extend the hand of grace through kindness, food, and shelter? Most days I can humbly answer yes. Some days it's a resounding yes. Just listen to these letters.
Dear Poverello staff, you will find here a cashier's check payable to the Poverello Center. Again and again, without question, you people gave me food when I was down and out and had none. Nobody on your staff ever questioned why a relatively well-dressed man was in your food line day after day. No one attempted to judge me. I am very grateful for your assistance and for the availability of the Poverello Center in Missoula, Montana. There are no strings attached to the $2,000 cashier's check herein, except that it is used for whatever purposes are most pressing. As I put my life back together, I hope that I will be able to assist you more and to offer my labor as well as dollars to further your ends. Having never been in need before, I didn't know what it would be like to wonder when I would eat my next meal. Thank you, Poverello, for being there when I needed you.
To the staff and the residents of the Poverello Center, thank you all for giving me food, clothing, and a safe place to stay during my time there. Many people come to the POV wounded by life. I was one of them. You met my physical needs, and several of you became my friends and family. Thank you from my heart for being there. I miss your faces, but know you will rejoice to hear that I am living in a nice place where my needs are being met. I have a good, not too stressful job and great people to work with. I wish you all the best, and may God bless you as He has blessed me.
Letters like these tell us we are making a difference. As you may know, the mission of the Poverello Center was inspired by the life of a gentle man, St. Francis of Assisi. St. Francis dedicated his life to loving the unloved and to bringing hope and encouragement to all. Through his lessons of compassion and service, we, a diverse community, have become a living instrument of peace.
yous for this evening. First, I'd like to thank Cheryl Monty. They're members of the Writers Collaborative, the Missoula Writers Collaborative, who came into the Poverello Center and actually waited for clients to come to them and work with the clients, bringing their stories to the table. Without their help and special talents, this wouldn't have been possible. Thank you both. Next, I'd like to thank our producer, Barb Schiedemeyer. Barb has spent many hours with us, honing our skills and ensuring that these stories got told. Barb can make anybody look good, even me. And finally, I want to thank each and every one of you for your support over the years. Without your continued support, as Joe said earlier, the Poverello Center would not exist. Every dollar and every hour of volunteer labor means the world to us, and our clients too at the Poverello Center. Every dollar donated means we can serve another meal. Every volunteer hour means we can do that much more to help the homeless and low-income individuals and families in our area. To further our ends, next month, or actually it's this month already, the month of October, we're going to have a superstar event for the whole month. Every weekday of the month of October, a different restaurant will be serving soup and donating the proceeds to the Poverello Center. This coming week, the Great Harvest Bread Company on Monday will be having soup. On Tuesday, the Good Food Store. On Wednesday, Break Espresso. Thursday, Two Sisters. Friday, Liquid Planet. You know you're going to get a good meal, and you know it'll go to a good purpose. Well, we wish we were going out of business. Wouldn't that be nice? The fact is that homelessness and hunger have been with us for quite some time and will likely remain with us for the foreseeable future. Please continue your support of the Poverello Center. Well, this event is mainly an effort to thank each and every one of you who donate money or time, clothing, whatever you donate, you're appreciated. And we wanted to thank you in a very special way. If you want to, you can leave money. There are containers set out in the lobby for that. But just be aware that we appreciate all of you. We want you to have a good time tonight. Now, I think it's time for dessert and coffee. I don't know about the rest of you. Thank you. To have a good time tonight. Now, I think it's time for dessert and coffee. I don't know about the rest of you.